Before we dive in, take a second and subscribe to this channel. You don't want to miss the next deep dive we're about to release. There's a reason why some people move through life untouched. The storm rages, but they don't bend. Plans collapse, insults are thrown, setbacks pile up, and somehow they remain calm. Almost as if the chaos doesn't reach them. What do they know that you don't? Most people go through life as reactors. Someone cuts them off in traffic, instant rage. A coworker makes a passive-aggressive comment. Their whole day is ruined. A stranger gives them a weird look. Suddenly they spiral into self-doubt. One insult, one inconvenience, one rejection, and the whole identity cracks. But here's the uncomfortable truth. It's not the world that's doing this to you. It's you. Carl Jung believed that nothing external has power over you, unless it touches something inside that you haven't faced yet. Think about it. If someone calls you stupid and you explode in anger, that's not about them. It's because some part of you already fears it might be true. If someone ignores you and you feel invisible, it's because deep down, you're still chasing approval. That's why two people can face the exact same situation and respond in completely opposite ways. It's never about the event. It's about the inner script running beneath it. Jung called this the shadow, the hidden unconscious part of you that holds all the fears, insecurities, and desires you don't want to admit. And here's the kicker. Until you face it, you'll keep handing the world power over you. Every irritation, every emotional trigger, every flash of jealousy or rage, these are not accidents. They're signals. They're messages from your unconscious saying, this part of you is unowned. Integrate me or keep suffering. Most people run from these signals. They numb them with distractions. They blame everyone else. They tell themselves the world is unfair. But all they're doing is running from their own reflection. Because here's the brutal fact. The outer world is nothing more than a mirror of the inner world. Until you grasp this, you will always be a puppet, jerked around by other people's words, moods, and opinions. But the moment you understand this, you unlock something that almost no one has: real freedom. Let's put it this way. Imagine your mind as a house. If you've left rooms locked, full of old fears and unacknowledged truths, then anyone can walk by, tap the window, and suddenly your whole house shakes. But once you go into those rooms, clean them out, and own them, nobody can touch you anymore. That's what shadow work really is. Making the unconscious conscious. Turning every hidden fear into something you've looked at directly. So when someone calls you weak, you don't crumble. You already know the parts of you that are fragile, and you've accepted them. Their words can't sting because you've already faced the wound. When someone disrespects you, you don't spiral because you no longer need their respect to prove anything. This is what separates the average person from the untilted one. The average person reacts like a slave to every jab, every comment, every setback. The integrated person, they remain still, they remain grounded. It's not because they're numb. It's not because they don't feel. It's because they've gone deep enough into themselves that there's nothing left for the world to use as a weapon. So let me ask you this. Next time you get triggered, will you run from it, or will you treat it like a mirror? Because that's the first step to becoming untouchable. Now here's the trap most people fall into. They think the solution is to control the world, to make sure no one insults them, no one disrespects them, no one ever throws chaos into their plans. But that's impossible. You can't control traffic. You can't control people's moods. You can't control whether life unfolds neatly. The harder you try, the more you suffer. What you can control, the only thing you can ever control, is your perception. And this is where Jung's wisdom becomes lethal. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Most people spend their whole lives thinking life is happening to them. They think they're cursed with bad luck, cursed with toxic people, cursed with constant setbacks. But really, it's their unconscious running the show. That shadow they keep ignoring, it keeps showing up on the outside until they finally face it. So here's a simple exercise. The next time you feel yourself get hooked, pause. Name the feeling out loud. I feel rejected. I feel angry. I feel ignored. Then ask one question. What inside me is this touching? And the moment you stop reacting blindly, you stop being controlled. You don't need to run from negative people. You don't need to try and control every outcome. You simply become immune, not detached in a cold way, not emotionless, but untilted, untouchable. The storm still rages, but you remain the sky. That's the first step. Seeing that the problem isn't out there, it's never been the world. It's you, and the parts of you you haven't owned yet. And that brings us to the next step. Understanding the greatest lie that keeps people weak. The illusion of control. Most people spend their entire lives chasing control. They want people to like them. They want their plans to unfold perfectly. They want life to be predictable. And every time it isn't, they suffer. They get angry. They feel betrayed. Here's the brutal truth. Nothing in this world is under your control except one thing: your perception. Jung understood something that most people never realize. The external world is neutral. It's not good or bad. It's not kind or cruel. It just is. It's your filter, your story, that makes it seem positive or negative. Think about it. Two people go through the same breakup, same rejection, same heartbreak. One person collapses, convinced they'll never find love again. The other uses it as a lesson, a doorway to growth, a chance to reinvent themselves. The event is the same. The difference is the perception. The same is true with failure. One person loses money and sees themselves as cursed, unlucky, doomed. Another sees the same event as feedback, a brutal but honest teacher. The event isn't what shapes you. The meaning you attach to it does. Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." That means this: until you become aware of the stories you tell yourself about who you are, about what life means, about what others think, you will keep reacting like a puppet, convinced life is happening to you. But in reality, life is happening through you. And here's the paradox most people never understand. The more you try to control the external world, the more power you give it over you. The moment you need someone's approval, they own you. The moment you need a plan to work, the plan owns you. The moment you need life to be fair, disappointment owns you. The chains tighten every time you demand that the outside world bend to your inner expectations. But when you let go of the illusion of control, everything shifts. Suddenly, you're free. Free from the exhausting chase for validation. Free from the fear of failure. Free from the endless mental prison of what if. They're the ones who have mastered themselves. They don't waste energy trying to bend reality into their little box. They adapt. They accept. They respond. But they don't cling. And because they don't need things to go their way, they often do. Let me put it another way. Control is an illusion. Perception is power. The more you chase control, the more miserable you become. But the moment you master your perception, you become unstoppable. Imagine this. Someone insults you. Old you would react, get angry, defensive, maybe replay it in your head for hours. New you pauses and reframes. You say to yourself, their words are not about me, they're about them. And if it stings, that's just a mirror showing me something I need to face. That's perception power. Or think about a setback. Old you says, why me? Why now? New You says, this is tough, but it's also training. What's the lesson here? Same event, different filter, and that difference changes everything. Now let's get practical. How do you train your perception? First, practice the circle of control. Whenever something shakes you, ask 2 questions. 1. Can I influence this? Can I not? If you can influence it, act. If you can't, release it. Cut it from your mental screen. Second practice, expectation detox. Replace every must with prefer. I must be respected becomes I prefer respect, but I don't need it. I must succeed becomes I prefer success, but I'll be fine without it. That simple shift kills attachment. Third practice, name and frame. When emotions spike, label them. This is disappointment, not disaster. This is frustration, not the end of the world. Language changes perception, and perception changes everything. This is why control is the great trap. It drains your energy, feeds your fear, and keeps you fragile. But letting go doesn't make you weak. It makes you free. Because the truth is, strength is not in controlling the storm. It's in knowing you are the sky. And here's the best part. The paradox. When you stop needing things to go your way, they often start to. When you stop fearing what people think, you naturally appear more confident. When you stop chasing success out of desperation, opportunities begin to show up effortlessly. It's not magic, it's psychology. The more relaxed your grip, the more you can see, and the more life flows in your favor. Even neuroscience backs this up. Studies show that the more you obsess over controlling something, whether it's a person, an outcome, or even your own thoughts, the more you create resistance. This is why people desperate for love end up repelling it. Why those terrified of failure sabotage themselves. Why those who cling to control end up feeling the most powerless. Your nervous system can't relax when you're gripping, and a tense mind creates tense results. So here's the question. Are you living in reaction, always at the mercy of the world? Or are you living in perception, choosing how to interpret everything that happens to you? Because once you realize that nothing outside of you has power over you, life starts to feel like a completely different game. That's what Jung meant by individuation. Becoming a whole person, owning your unconscious, mastering your perception, and refusing to let the world pull your strings. This is the mindset of the unshakable. When you finally reach this stage, something remarkable happens. You stop fighting yourself. You stop projecting battles onto the world. Instead, you see that most of the pain came not from the world itself, but from your own unresolved conflicts. Jung would say this is the moment when the psyche becomes whole. And wholeness doesn't mean perfection. It means balance. It means you can stand in the middle of chaos and not lose yourself. You can hear criticism and not crumble. You can experience loss without becoming destroyed by it. Because now, you have roots. Think of the tree again. Its branches may sway violently in the storm. Leaves may fall. But the roots are deep in the soil. Nothing can rip it out. That is the inner state Jung points toward. The irony is, when you stop being easily affected by the world actually becomes easier to live in. You stop carrying resentment because you no longer depend on people to give you your sense of self. You stop fearing rejection because you know your value does not vanish when someone walks away. And you stop chasing approval because you already hold the approval that truly matters, your own. This is why Jung emphasized individuation. To become a true individual is to be untouchable in the deepest sense. Not because nothing bad will ever happen to you, but because when it does, you will not be shaken to your core. You have faced your shadows. You have met your demons. And now nothing outside can destroy you. At this point, the question becomes, how do you live? Jung's answer is simple but profound. You live with authenticity. You speak your truth, not because you want validation, but because it is your truth. You act from inner conviction, not from fear of rejection. You build relationships, not out of need, but out of choice. And this is the true freedom, when nothing outside dictates who you are. Not the noise of society, not the opinions of others, not even the unpredictable storms of fate. You become your own center. That doesn't mean isolation. Jung never advocated cutting yourself off from the world. What he taught is that once you find your core, you can finally engage with the world without being consumed by it. You can love deeply, but not lose yourself in love. You can give to others, but not betray your own soul in the process. You can walk through both joy and suffering with the same unshakable clarity. And so, if you take nothing else from Jung's message, take this. The world will not stop testing you. People will not stop disappointing you. Life will not stop throwing chaos at you. But you, if you choose to do the work, can reach a place where nothing and nobody can pull you away from yourself ever again. You become like the mountain. Storms pass, seasons change, but it remains unmoved. That is Jung's gift to us. Not a life free of struggle, but a self so whole, so rooted, so indivisible, that nothing outside can break it. So remember this: the shadow you fear, the wound you carry, the silence you avoid, if you face them, if you integrate them, you will walk into a state where the world no longer shakes you. And from that place, you will finally know what Jung meant by individuation. It is not about becoming invincible. It is about becoming untouchable in the deepest sense. Now, if this journey spoke to you, take a second to support the channel. Like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more deep explorations of psychology and philosophy. And tell me in the comments, what's the one thing you want to master in yourself so nothing outside can affect you again? Because that's where the real transformation begins.